So I'm going to quickly take everyone through a journey to South Bronx. So you might thought you would be in DC today, but you're going to go up north just a few hours. My name is Crater. I'm the new Executive Director for Sustainable South Bronx. And you know, I always like to start these presentations with a pop quiz. So the United States has about 5% of the world's population. We have also 25% of something else. Now, this is a very smart audience. I want to take a lot of answers from the back. Anyone have a guess? Pollution, that's a good guess. Carbon emissions, anybody else? Come on, you've had coffee. No? No more guesses? We have 25% of persons incarcerated. Now you might think, why am I talking about persons incarcerated in a panel about science and technology and sustainability? Well, it really has to do about the way Sustainable South Bronx approaches our work. We look at sustainability in the full spectrum of what that word means. Because really, when we think about sustainability, it's not just about trees. It's not just about the river. It's about schools. It's about economic opportunity. It's about equity. And all these things sometimes get pushed aside. Because I really think this quote captures it. When we think about choosing one thing and want to focus on one thing, it actually has so many other ramifications and impacts. And when we look about our health, our asthma, it's caused by other things. It's not just the fact that you have asthma. There's pollution. There's development that causes that pollution. There's a lot of other impacts. So it's really about the 3 E's. Again, the environment, the economy, and equity. Because oftentimes when we think about the environment, we think about places like this. We think about bucolic, pristine rivers and woods, and this is why we have these environmentalists that are pushed over here, and people talking about environmental justice and speaking over here, and we're not talking together. Because if we don't think about what happens to places like that, if we don't think about how we handle trash, this is what happens. And what happens is that it's dumped in poor communities, typically communities of color, and then it's trucked to another community, typically a community of color, but definitely poor. And so, if we think about all these impacts, we have to think about how they're built. In the South Bronx, and it's not just the South Bronx, it's places like that, but again, I'm taking you on a trip. We had a man named Robert Moses. He was a highway addict. He liked highways. He thought this was a new form of technology. This is what was going to save urban communities. This would transport people from these urban areas to the suburbs. And what happened, as you can see from this picture, it cut communities apart. I'm sure you have this in DC. I'm sure it's all across the United States. In the South Bronx, we call it the Cross Bronx Expressway. We also have the Bruckner Expressway. We have a number of highways. And what these highways did is make these places possible, the suburbs. This was the American dream. You would have your house, a lovely lot, you would have your car that would take you from downtown to your burg. But what happened is, as what we know as white flight, is as communities exited these urban communities, as different families that had founded these urban areas left, they left and new communities came in their place. And these communities, African Americans from the South, Puerto Ricans came from Puerto Rico. And this new wave of immigration was wonderful because they wanted this new economic opportunity. They were drawn to cities for economic opportunity. But sadly, the financial markets didn't support that economic opportunity. Businesses left. They went for cheaper labor and cheaper real estate. And so in the wake of that disinvestment is what we call redlining. And this, again, is not special to the South Bronx. It happened all across the country. And essentially what happened is communities were disinvested. There were actual lines drawn around them where financial institutions decided not to invest.